15, 100.
Yeah, this gets expensive, yeah.
It costs.
Yeah, it costs. So I already mentioned earlier that likely there was more than 3, we don't know for sure.
Bilo ih je sigurno više od 3, ne znamo za sigurno koliko.
But 3 probably comes from the 3 gifts, so they picked the number 3.
Zaključak da su trojice dolazi obično prema 3 dara koji su oni donijeli.
In Catholic tradition, as I said, I think it's super, very many hundreds of years later even. They named the 3 people, but there's no connection to the history that we know of these names.
Kasnije, stotinje godina kasnije, nekoliko stotinje godina kasnije, dobivamo njihova imena, ne?
And we don't want to invalidate the truth with the tradition, which is what we're trying to fight against here.
Ne želimo riječ za invalidate.
Matthew 15:6, yeah.
Ne želimo potvrditi, ne to je riječ, potvrditi. Istinu sa nečim netočnim.
We talked about this question, basically answered this one earlier.
Već smo djelomično i ranije to odgovorili.
The 7th misconception
7. krivo shvaćanje pri samoređenju je
is that the angels sang before the shepherds when they announced Jesus' birth.
da su anđeli pjevali pastirima kad su im objavili tu vijest.
And probably most of us answered this one as true.
Većina vas ste rekli možda točno.
I probably would have also.
Ja bih vjerovatno isto.
Yeah, oh yeah. If I would have asked it as a question.
Možda nisam mamo očak ne rekao pitanje.
But when we look at the Luke story in verse 13, Luke 2:13,
Luka 2:13
and Luke 2:10.
i Luka 2:10.
In Luke 2:10, the angel said,
U Luka 10:20 kaže, anđeo im je donio dobru vijest.
so they spoke, yeah, right? Not saying.
Ja.
And in verse 13, the angels praised God, saying or speaking.
Verse
13.
Zvijezno kaže da su anđeli se pojavili, mnoštvo nebeske vojske, hvaleći Boga i govoreći.
So, the text doesn't say they were singing, it says they were speaking or saying.
Tekst ne kaže da su pjevali, kaže oni su govorili i govorili. Rekli su, kazali.
Now, maybe some modern smart aleck might say, well, they were speaking rap.
Kao rekla si možda glazbeno to
Danas su
stihovi.
ravno grad rodila, spasitelj, Krist.
Maybe they were charismatic.
So, it's a small little detail, but most of us, I think, would say, well, of course they sang when the text isn't saying that, and it says they spoke. So it seems like they talked to them about it and praised with speaking, not with singing.
Oni su govorili i hvalili Boga, znači u govornom jednom stilu, ne kaže da su pjevali, ne?
So I hope that these 7 misconceptions, speaking about them,
Kada govorimo o ovih 4 kriva shvaćanja o rođenju sa Krista,
will help us to be a little bit more careful in reading our Bibles,
će nam pomoći možda da pažljivije čitamo naše Biblije,
to help us to concentrate on what we know is truly inspired and the other things are
da
possibilities.
znamo što je istinski nadahnuto, a ovo drugo su sve mogućnosti.
Or, no, that's not even a possibility. That's against the text. The text
Ili ovo
says
nije
something
mogućnost, već to se suprotstavlja tekstu.
And going back to our key verse in this section, Matthew 15:6, that we don't invalidate the truth with our tradition. It's easy to point to the Catholics as doing this, but at times, maybe especially at Christmas, we can have some of this a little bit.
Znači, moramo biti pažljivi, kako smo rekli u Matej 15:6, da ne bi dokinuli Božju zapovjed da radi svoje predaje. What about the Catholics?
say they're bad because they have a lot of traditions make it equal with the Bible.
Da, ćemo ukriviti katolike da su previše priklonjeni predaji tradiciji, da ne bi mi pali u tu nekakvu sličnu zamku opasnosti.
But when it comes to Christmas, sometimes we can put our traditions and think that's the same as the Bible. No, that's not.
Neke naše božićne predaje, moramo biti pažljivi da ne bi oni suprotstavili se biblijskoj istini priči.
We will always do well if we keep our finger on the text.
Uvijek će biti sigurno ako prst držimo na tekstu.
Where does it say?
Gdje kaže?
It's written.
Pisano je.
That's what Jesus even said. It is written. It is written.
Pisano je.
In his temptations.
Kada je bio kušan.
Well, now I want to talk a little bit about two different reactions to the birth of Christ.
Govorit ćemo se malo o dvije različite reakcije na Kristovo rođenje.
I preach this as a sermon, and it might be helpful or an idea for you to develop sometime as a sermon.
Propovijedao sam na ovoj nastav temu. Možda će biti vama korisno da možda tome promislite i jednog dana propovijedate.
Actually, not this slide, it will be the next one, but we'll come to the preaching idea.
Znači, o propovijedanju će sljedeći slajd nešto nam više pokazati, ne sada.
But our reaction to the birth of Christ,
ali naša reakcija na Kristovo rođenje,
we can learn from the reaction of various groupings of their reaction of his birth.
Možemo pogledati reakcija svih ostalih sudionika i naučiti nešto od njih.
You can see what's on the board here. The angels and the shepherds saw who Jesus was.
Znači, anđeli i pastiri, oni su vidjeli tko je Isus.
He's Savior.
On je spasitelj.
Christ.
Hrist.
The Lord.
Gospod.
Luke 2:12.
Luka 12.
2:11. And not only did they see who Jesus was, or said who he was, the angels did.
Ne samo da su vidjeli tko je on.
Their reaction was to praise God.
Njihov odaziv, reakcija se da su slavili Boga.
And the shepherds shared the good news about Jesus and praised God. Verse 20.
Pastiri su navještali radosnu vijest i slavili Boga.
That should be our reaction.
To bi trebala biti naša reakcija.
We didn't read the text because we're doing a kind of quick survey, but Simeon in the temple, when he finally has the baby Jesus shown to him,
mi smo čitali sad tekst, ali Šimun kada je u hramu držao i gledao dijete,
says he's the Lord's Messiah.
To je Božji pomazanik.
He's God's salvation.
On je Božje spasenje.
He's the light to the Gentiles.
Svjetlo poganima.
Again, the emphasis isn't on how he was born, but who was born.
Znači, ne kako je rođen, nego ko je rođen.
Light to the Gentiles, Messiah, the Lord.
Svjetlo, Mesija, spasitelj.
But he will be a sign to be opposed. Some will oppose him.
On je znak otpora. Neki će samo
A sign for